What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Robinson Motorsports. Tonight I'm going to be rebuilding this rear shock and doing a little bit of valve work, so stick around. So, Project Frankenripper is a 2012 YZ250F. It's a motocross bike, and I'm trying to race it in the woods with a 2-stroke in. So, this rear shock is going to need some work. First off, I need to spring it for my weight, because I'm not going to lie, I like cheeseburgers a lot, and beer. So, the stock spring is not going to work. I need a little bit beefier one than that. I'm going up to a 5.8. I'm going to need to get this off and clean it up a little bit before I take it apart. I'm also going to be revalving it a little bit because it needs a new seal head, so I have to take the shim stack off anyways. And this rubber bumper down here is a little crusty. I'm going to show you how to install a new seal head on this, charge it with nitrogen, and do a little bit of shim work. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is basically do an overall inspection on this. And I can see that the threads are a little boogered right in here. So I gotta file those to make sure I can get the nut past those. Clean it up a little bit here, some dirt in there. Then take this spring off and start disassembly. Alright, I got the spring off of it. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna release all the nitrogen inside of it here. Valve core out. You're gonna wanna take a Sharpie and mark where this the Schrader valve is on it, because it's going to be easier to refill on the bike if you ever need to change pressures, things like that. So I'm just going to draw a line right here on the shock body. Probably going to wash it off later, but then we're going to try to press this down, press the bladder into the body here. This is a Race Tech ring circlip tool. It works mint for this stuff. Push this down and there's a snap ring in here that we're just going to scoop out. Then we can kind of wiggle this out. There we go. We're going to dump all this oil out into our drain pan. There's a little dimple right there. There's another one on this side. You're going to use that to pry this cap off. You're going to need one of these tools to push the head gland. There we go. See how I just kind of pushed it down a little bit there? Take this tool, get that snap ring out of there. Ever so gently. And not get it all over the front of you. Oh, not too bad. Look at that, it was foaming. That's not good. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off the high-speed adjuster here, just so we can open up this port and clean out the shims that are in there. So this is your whole high-speed adjuster here. This comes off, there's a spring in there, and then you can see there's a little shim stack in there. Take that out. You want to clean all this out, maybe replace this O-ring. This nut right here is peened over. You can see it's flat on top, and it's definitely not like threaded with that nut. So we're just going to end up grinding all the way around here until we expose some of the threads on the nut. Then we'll be able to spin this off. You can do it on a bench grinder, you can do it with a file. I'm going to start with a bench grinder, but I'm probably going to end it with a file. So hopefully it goes well. I think I did alright. I got a little heavy over here, but it might be alright. All right, not bad. I mean, you're gonna roll this edge a little bit right here. Let's see, you can see. Rolled the edge a little bit right there, but I can file that out. All the threads are still good. I'll be replacing this nut anyway, so I'm not too worried about what happened taking it off. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to basically take this shim stack off and lay it out piece by piece. Alright, so what I've done here is I've just taken some normal paper towel, laid it down on my workbench. I use paper towel because I can write on it with Sharpie or with dry erase marker. Once I lay everything else out, I can measure them one by one, lay it all out, then I'll be able to transfer it onto a piece of paper and make a spreadsheet on what the stack is. Thing you have to remember is the bottom here is compression and the top is rebound. If I got that right. Yeah, because compression's going that way, so that means the oil's going down through here and pushing on this stack. Then the rebound, the oil is going through here and pushing on this stack right here. You want to note everything in order from the nut all the way down to this base washer right here. So I got all the shims laid out, measured. I haven't really done any cleaning yet because I know that I'm going to be doing some revalving. I wrote them all down on a piece of paper here, basically in the order from the nut and what follows that all the way to the base washer. My buddy Justin Beers, one of the buddies I ride with that's like a huge suspension guru. He's trying to start his own business. He actually started a website called offroadtechinfo.com. Should go check it out because he goes through the entire theory of shimming, valves, things like that, force, all of the suspension mathematically equations and whatnot you kind of want to figure out as an engineer. He's pretty much written articles about that and he's publishing them on the website. That's offroadtechinfo.com. I'll drop the link in the description. I sent all this stuff out to him as the stock valving for this shock with a couple of ideas. He bounced back with some adjustments to what I actually came up with for this. I'm not going to really give you numbers on this just because it's something that I'm working on and I know I'm going to be fine-tuning it, so it's not like it's going to be good, and I'm afraid that it may not work good for you or anyone that's watching. So basically what I was trying to do is just soften the rebound on it. The compression I think was alright, the rebound needed a little bit of work. Both came up with a stack. I'm actually going to do a couple mods on the valve here itself that I think needs to be done. It probably is going to affect me in a negative way instead of a positive way, but the theories that I've come up with, it kind of needs to be done. And all that I'm doing is, if you look, there's a lip right here. See if I can get it in there and have it focus. Where there's a shim that covers up this face here like that. The fluid's moving this way through the valve and it's hitting that lip, that edge there. So what I've done is I've taken a die grinder, taken that edge out and kind of bell curved all of these just to help that fluid flow through there a lot easier, a lot better, more efficiently. I do it on the bottom too. So I'm just gonna go through with a set of jeweler files here, some sandpaper, 800 grit wet dry sandpaper, and this little stone bit on a Dremel, just to kind of clean those up a little bit. I'm not going too crazy. I'm just trying to like stop some of that turbulence that's going to be created when that fluid passes through there. You can see here where, let's see, it was this one right here I just did, that I just took that ledge off. This side I just took that lip off. Hopefully things will flow a little bit better through there. I'm going to clean this off. Now the last thing that I like to do, that if you're just doing a seal head replacement because you had like a leaky shock seal. You're pretty much gonna have this valve almost in your hand. You're gonna want to keep the valves stacked together, but this orifice you'll be able to separate it easy and not worry about messing up the shim stack. You take a piece of glass. This is just out of a regular picture frame, just a small, I don't know if you can see it there, there you go. Put that down, put a piece of 800 grit wet dry sandpaper over the top of it, and then you're just going to work this in. You can see right now the face really isn't that shiny. Just gonna, you can see where it's starting to get shiny on the edges, but the center is still that matte color. So you want to sand that down so it's all nice and flat and it's all nice and even. So when that valve closes on there, you know you have a good tight, there's not going to be no leak by or anything else, and it's putting all that fluid onto the shim stack opposite of that. That looks pretty good right there. Same for this side. Mint. Alright, now the fun begins. Everything's cleaned, inspected. Got my threads cleaned up on the end of my dampener rod here. I have a little bit of a cross hatch in the dampener rod that I put with some 600 grit wet dry sandpaper. There's a little bit of a scar in here, and I was able to get that out with the sandpaper, so I'm happy about that. And we're just going to start assembling this. Seal bullets, if you don't have one of these, you should get one. I had these machined. I think I made 2 of them. My brother made 1 of them. But we just slip over here. So I got a new seal head here. It's a Tusk. I'm actually a dealer for Rocky Mountain, so I figured I'd give it a shot and try it. I have no idea how long it's going to last or even how good it is, so it's going to be kind of a cool experience here. Definitely documenting how many hours it lasts. Just going to put a little bit of oil on the inside of here to make sure it slides onto the shaft nicely. Wiper. Now I'm going to go ahead and start building this stack up. Start with the base washer here. Shim stacks are all built. Next thing you're going to want to do is make sure these threads are clean. Using a new nut and some red Loctite, you're going to put this nut on and torque it down. Now that we got this done, we're going to go ahead and put the shock body in here, fill that full of oil, and get this installed. Now you want to get oil in both sides. Obviously it's going to travel, so what you're going to do is you're just going to tap on this. You want to get all that air out of there. Air in shocks is your enemy, so you want to get as much air out of this as you can. Take your bladder, want to put a little bit of air in here, pop that up in to seat itself. That's all you're really trying to do here. Alright, all the air is out of it. We're going to top it off. Push the seal head down in. Get to a certain point, you're going to have to release the pressure in here. And see, it sucks it right in. Send that home. New snap ring. There we go. Tap the cap back on. At this point, you're going to either want to take your shock to like your local dealer or a local bike shop that can charge it with nitrogen. Luckily, I have a setup here that I've built. It's real simple. I mean, it's really not that cost effective unless you're going to be doing a lot of them and you have a lot of friends and you end up rebuilding a lot of rear shocks. I service all of my shocks annually, so I knew that I was going to need this. I think your local shop, my buddy is going to charge me maybe $5-10 to charge a shock before, so I ended up building this. The bottle was the most expensive part of it, but they last you, God, I don't know how many charges. Anywho, getting into it here, real simple. Push this down out of the way, put the valve core back in, hooking up our no loss air fitting, making sure this is tight. Opening that Schrader valve, making sure this is on. Turn the bottle on. Now we're going to slowly climb up to about 160, 165. You can see we're already starting to set there. You're going to see this go up. 120, 140, 160-ish. Alright, now close this and check it here. 155, we're at 160 here. 163. So, close this, open this up, which is going to close that Schrader valve. Back this back off. And that was just the air that was in this line right here. You can tell that this was a successful charge because of one, this went up, and two, you can push this down and it should return all the way to the end by itself. If you're ever wondering if your shock has lost a charge or isn't charged enough, maybe someone came and hit that Schrader valve on you or whatnot, if you take the spring off, put it upside down in a vise like this, push this down, and if you let go of it, it should go all the way up to the end, to the stop. This one you can see does it fine. Doesn't seem to be any air in the end of this. Good to go. We're going to install the lock nut here. A new Race Tech spring for my weight. If you had any measurement that you took before of your sag or your spring length, then go ahead and set it at that, then install it on the bike. Alright everyone, we got the rear shock in, one step closer to getting Project Frankenripper rolling on its own two wheels. Revalved, I was thinking about doing an X valving on it, but I remembered my buddy Justin Beers did the suspension thing, so I reached out to him and I thank him a lot for his help that he's done for this episode, well for the next two episodes, because the next one I will be doing the front forks, revalving those and rebuilding those. So stick around, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.